Hello and welcome once again to Red Gaming Tech. My name is Amata. Today is the 5th of April and this time I have some more comments regarding Final Fantasy 15 from someone from Square Enix, although this time it isn't actually our old friend Hajime Tabata. It is instead the director of visual works Kazuyuki Ikamori, who recently spoke to Scylla Canera about striking the correct balance between gameplay and cutscenes in Final Fantasy 15. And he went on to say, quote, "It seems like out of all of the Final Fantasy titles, this one will be the most action-oriented. I think it's going to end up being a pretty good balance. It's going to depend on the story and what we need to get across to tell it. We're going to try and focus on real time as much as possible, but depending on the story, if there are things we cannot express or visualize with real-time graphics, like huge armies fighting each other or a world being destroyed, that may not look as good with real-time graphics compared to a CGI movie." Now obviously, a lot of us get frustrated and impatient when games overload us with cutscenes because, well, to be honest, a lot of us think show, don't tell, which is exactly right, to be honest with you. Sometimes they're needed, of course. Cutscenes are very useful for telling story, and I'm not going to problems with cutscenes themselves. They can be really useful for situations like Ikamori was saying, and other such situations as well. And just general epic moments that we can't have in the actual game engine, that's fine, but when we're overloaded it can be a bit much, and Ikamori seems to understand this. And he said, quote, "In those instances we're going to look at what is necessary and what we're trying to invoke in the player. If it's better to do as a movie, or if it's only possible to do as a movie, we'll go with the CGI movie. If it feels better to do real time, we're going to focus on real time. We're going to try and balance this as much as possible." Now, to be honest, the whole interview with Ikamori is rather large, and I will be linking it in the description below this video. As I said, it was with Scylla Canera. I suggest you give it a read, as he has some really interesting things to say, like the use of CGI movies and how they were used to basically, back in the day, show off just wouldn't have been possible in the in-game engine. Like, say, you know, Final Fantasy 7, 8 and 9, the cutscenes look way better than the in-game, for obvious reasons. Now, the disparity between the two is a lot less. A lot of the time, you've got cutscenes actually being rendered in-engine a lot of the time nowadays. So obviously, that gap isn't really there anymore. So obviously, they're not going to be as attached to cutscenes as they were back in the day. They're not as necessary for telling story and things like that. But it is a little bit of a holdover. But it's nice to see that he, at least, is aware that, you know what, we don't want to be overloaded with cutscenes. Cutscenes are fine, but let's have a lot of gameplay as well. Let's have a lot of showing and not telling, and just a decent mix of the two is what we're after, and it seems like that's what they're envisioning, which just gives me even more encouragement regarding Final Fantasy 15. The demo was really good. Some niggles, as I said previously, but very promising indeed, and a huge improvement on Final Fantasy 13 and 13.2. I actually liked 13 and 13.2. I haven't played Lightning Returns, to be honest. After what I've heard about it, I don't really want to. Anyway, enough rambling aside. Do let me know your thoughts and opinions, and I'll see you next time.